Okay, so a few minutes ago, I don't know why my phone looked like this. One second, family. A few minutes ago, I was watching another content creator named Joy. I don't know Joy last name, but she's a YouTuber. And she was having like a call chat, and basically she was saying, like how she feel about her father, and how basically like her father only call her like when he needs something or wants something. And I guess like if she don't agree with, because I think her father wanted somebody to live with her, and she said no, that the person couldn't live with her. And the father had got upset, and I guess basically didn't really want to talk to her, right? One of the things I know to be true about life is this: when we feel like somebody should behave a certain way or should do things a certain type of way, right? And we disregard exactly what they showing us, right? Like in other words, we want to see them behave different. We want to see them do things different because the way that they are doing things is not conducive to us, right? Or we feel, you may even take things personal. And Joy, one of the things she was saying was that her father pretty much just call her for, when he wants something. I know boundaries are so important. Okay. If people are showing you exactly who they are, hey CC, peace to you, baby, peace to you. If they are showing you exactly who they are, right? And you fail to see it, or you say, well, my father or my mother, they just keep hurting me, and I want them to acknowledge my feelings. And you have every right to feel that way, but sometimes people are unaware, okay? Your perception can be, well, when I was a kid, I was disregarded, right? Nobody paid me no attention or whatever. That could be your perception. But then your parent perception, it could be something completely different. But when you grow up and you feel like, well, my father, he should be doing X, Y, and Z. Like every time, he calls me only when he wants something. And I feel used. Now, you could express that to your parent or express that to whomever, and then you need to set up a boundary behind it. Okay? So the boundary goes something like this. And I talk a lot about boundaries because in order for you to have a self-esteem, a high self-esteem about who you are, okay, you need to have boundaries. And I know for, some of us, boundaries never was discussed in a household, okay? We just, let people run amok over our lives. But let me tell you something. If you don't have boundaries, your feelings are going to get hurt over and over and over again. Why? Because you have to see that you deserve more. So if you have somebody that's in your life, and if that person only calls you when they want something, right? You need to express that. You need to express that effectively. Like, listen, every time I only hear from you is when you want something. And you can tell them, like, I feel used. I feel like, this relationship is one sided. This relationship is based upon just your needs. And I don't like the way I feel. And from this point on, okay, I have a boundary with you. And a boundary is, if you only call me for what you can get, you will not get. Okay? One of the reasons why you have to set this in stone, okay? And now let me tell you something. Now people will still do what you have allowed them to do for so long. They still gonna do it because it's human nature. Well, human behavior, okay? But when they do it and you feel so upset about it, that is not going to change it. That is not going to change it. So therefore, the boundaries are there to protect you. So if you say, if you tell a person this, and then the next time you don't hear nothing from them for probably 2 weeks, or the next time they need something, they call you and they say, well, I need a phone or something like that, or they need X, Y, and Z, right? And they only call you when they want something. After you done set up the boundary, then you need to put a stop to that. You need to say, I can't help you out with that. Okay? You need to put a stop to it. Because if you don't, you are going to constantly feel used and abused. And nobody could ever use you and abuse you but you. And I'm talking about abuse in the sense where, as though if somebody show you exactly who they are and you don't get the picture because you want to see something different, you are doing yourself a disservice and you are hurting your own feelings, okay? So as I was listening to Joy, and her content is pretty good, and she was in a car talking to her brother and telling her brother, like, like her she feel used, and her father only calls her when she wants something, when he wants something. And the brother was saying basically, like, you can't, and the brother was saying, well, if you feel that way, in other words, you have to set a boundary. He didn't say boundary, but pretty much that's what it is. When I tell you guys my journey, okay, one of the things that life is always showing me is, Dina, you got to choose you. You got to choose you. You have to choose you. Because if you don't, you will suffer. Okay? And you have to choose you. You cannot get somebody to see things the way you see them. You can express how you feel, but if that person is just outright disregarding your feelings, then you have one or two options, one or two choices. Either one, okay, you're going to keep the relationship and let the relationship be the way it has always been, okay? And keep on telling a person your boundaries and keep on drawing an imaginary line, right? And every time they break the boundary, you keep on just complaining about it, okay? That's not going to get you anywhere, but keep on getting you the same exact thing that you've been getting, okay? You could either do one or you could do two. Tell somebody exactly your boundary and stick to it and stand to it, okay? Because let me tell you something. No one is going to protect you more than you, okay? And to think that, well, if I tell this person, my boundary and they disrespect it, well, let me tell you something. In the words of Miss Iyanla Vanzant, beloved, you have a choice. You do not have to allow someone, okay, or allow the pattern to keep on going on, okay? If somebody's showing you exactly their colors and you just like, well, you know what, I don't see that. I don't see them for exactly, then shame on you. If somebody is a thief, okay, and they showing you that they steal, and you just like, well, why you keep stealing? Okay, and they done showed you time and time again they stealing. They done showed you they scamming. They done showed you time and time again. And you just like, why you keep on stealing or why you keep on doing this? See them as the person they are showing you. Okay? Because if you are like, well, this person steals, but they gonna stop. Well, perhaps they will, but right now they're not showing you no sign that they finna stop goddamn stealing. Okay, so you have to see things and see people for exactly who they are. Okay, the other day I made a post on Facebook, and I had contacted a realtor, okay? And I didn't know like you need to speak to a mortgage person, ignorance. I didn't know, okay? And so I posted the conversation between me and the realtor that I spoke to because she sent me a text message after our conversation. And I posted it on this luxury group, okay? Black Women's Luxury, I think. And it was a few people that was laughing. That was laughing because I guess in other words they felt like hey, you didn't know you need to speak to like a mortgage person before you speak to a realtor. I did not know. Don't beat yourself up for things that you did not know. Okay. So people was laughing, okay, in the chat. And it was one young lady who wrote, because it was like, I don't know, like 80 comments or something like that. And it was one young lady who wrote a message, and one of the things she said was, you guys do not have to be so mean. Like, maybe she just didn't know, talking about me. Like, maybe she just didn't know. And she had said some other words and stuff like that. And I responded back to her and I was like, in other words, like the rude people are rude. The laughters are laughters. That's what they going to do, right? And in the book, The Four Agreements, it talks about don't take anything personal because it has absolutely nothing to do with you. Okay? Sometimes we take things personal and say, well, this person is trying to cross me or this person is trying to do X, Y, and Z. That's not necessarily true. The person is just being who they are. They just acting out from their belief system. Okay? But you have the choice to say, I don't deserve this. And when you see you don't deserve this and really feel like you don't deserve it, then you will move accordingly. Okay? Whether that means block the person, whether that means don't have communication with the person, whether that means, you cut the person off, but it's your right. Listen, this is your life. And your life is only going to get better when you see that you deserve better. Okay? Crying, wishing, hoping, praying, lucking is not finna give you something different from life. It's just not. I'm here to tell you. Listen, I used to go to a psychologist, okay, to get pills because I just felt like I needed to be what other people wanted me to be. Okay. I felt like I couldn't have a voice. Like I didn't have a voice. And who fault was that? It was mine. It was mine, okay? Because I needed to see that I was greater than, okay, whatever was I was allowing to cause me pain. Okay? You gotta ask yourself, is this relationship that I am entertaining, and it can be any type of relationship. It could be mother, father, son, daughter, whatever type of relationship, husband, it could be any type of relationship. Is this relationship costing me my peace? Am I allowing this relationship to cost me my peace? And if you are allowing that relationship to cost you your peace, I am here to tell you, you are putting that relationship on a pedestal as opposed to putting yourself on a pedestal. So when I say you are causing yourself pain, you are causing yourself pain because nobody can do anything without your permission. I am a person that take full accountability of my actions, of the things that I tend to do. Okay. And nobody can do anything without my permission. Okay. Like if I feel like, oh well, this person is using me. This person is doing what you have permitted, what you have allowed them to do. They not doing no more than what you have gave permission to. Okay. And so like the other day, for instance, right? With my oldest son, I cut him off. I could completely cut him off. Now it hurts. Okay, it do hurt, but I have to make sure that I'm good. I have to make sure that I am good. Okay, because if somebody is doing something and you see you don't feel so good and you don't express to them time and time again, listen, this don't feel good to me. Okay, I don't like when you do X, Y, and Z. And they just disregard your feelings or send you a message and say, okay, you too. Then there is a clear sign that they don't give a damn. Okay? And so what do? You got to do something different. If you've been moving a certain type of way, then you're going to constantly get the same exact thing. I remember my oldest daughter, okay, who about to be 18, she had a therapist, right? And me and the therapist, we was pretty, cool. I was sending messages to the therapist and stuff like that. And I remember one time the therapist, it was like a family therapist, but also she was, she would see my daughter by herself. And I remember one day, something had happened, right? Where so I told my daughter not to do something, but she did it anyway. Okay. And I remember I had went to Target, okay, Target. And I remember I went in there and I got something for pretty much all my children because I never want my children to feel like I treat one better than the other. Although they have their own scenario that I treat this one, whatever. So I remember I went in Target, and although my daughter did something, right, like she disobeyed my rule or whatever it is, what I did was because of, oh, I don't want them to feel left out. I brought books, okay? I went and brought her a book because I said, you know what, I don't want her to feel left out, like, my other children. So I'm gonna buy her a book. And I remember the therapist said to me, she said, I explained to her what happened. And the therapist said to me, she said, Dina, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. So you got to do something different. If you normally would buy all your children something and and your daughter, okay, she's not listening to your rules, she's doing the opposite. Why would you it's sort of like reward and bad behavior, right? And as a parent, sometimes we like, well, I don't want them to feel left out, or I don't want them to feel, a certain type of way. Like, they go into like, I love this one better because listen, people are going to create all types of things in their mind, okay? But one of the things that you have to start understanding and realizing that you have to do what works for you. If you've been doing something a certain type of way and it has not got you anywhere, okay, you're not responsible for the story or the conclusion that someone have within their own mind. First of all, you shouldn't even be worrying about what they have in their own mind or what story they going to create. Okay. If your children isn't listening and you just like, well, I'ma reward them. Okay, I'm gonna give all my children something. And although this one not listening, I'm gonna give her something too, because I don't want them to think that I'm leaving them out. You always have to do what works for you. Die Hard, I appreciate you so much for all your comments. Because whatever comment you use, I appreciate you. Because, honey, you just helping people come to the channel. So I appreciate you. Keep on writing the comments, okay? So, one of the things that you have to understand and start getting is, family, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna talk to you guys tomorrow morning. But if you do the same, you're gonna continuously get the same. And so you have to see that you deserve better and you deserve more. But never feel like I am going to show this person over and over and over how I feel. I'm gonna keep on telling this person exactly how I feel. You know where that comes from? Lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem. And I used to do that. I used to do that. I remember I used to be in relationships, and I had said this time and time again. Before, when I was in relationships, one of the things that I would do was I would constantly regurgitate myself. I would constantly keep telling the guy the same thing. And the conversation sort of went like this. I was so afraid, okay, of the person finding somebody else, being with somebody else. So when he went out, I would constantly remind him, like, listen, if I see something in your phone when you come back, or if I see that you was messing around with somebody, I am going to leave you. And it came from a place of insecurity. It came from a place of me not knowing my worth. Okay. Because if you know your worth, you're not going to keep on regurgitating yourself. You're not going to keep on saying the same thing over and over again. And so one of the things that wound up happening was he started finishing my sentences. So if I say something, he would say, oh, I already know. I already know. If you see something, you going to leave or whatever, blase, this, right? It comes a point in time where as though you just have to let people do exactly what people do. Okay. And when they do it, you, in order to protect your feelings, and in order to protect yourself, you keep those boundaries up. You keep the boundaries up. And when people don't respect your boundaries, then you cut them off. Okay. And don't worry about, well, if I cut them off, is they going to see, that that I added value, or I was valuable? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they see it. You see it. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters, is that you see it. And so when you start looking at your life and understanding who you are, okay, certain things you're not going to do. Certain things you're not going to tolerate. But to feel like you constantly got to show somebody how you feel and then get upset because they don't honor, okay, how you feel, then you have to ask yourself this question. Are you honoring how you feel? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Are you honoring how you feel? Okay? Because with my oldest son again, I remember one time, right, a few times where as though he would just come and drop my grandbaby off, okay, his daughter off. And I remember this one time, not too long ago, he had came to my house. Now, I haven't really heard from him. And that's mainly the times when I hear from him is, when he wants something or something like that. And so it was about 2 weeks ago, okay? And he came to my house. And I was, I seen, because he had like these bags of, the baby stuff. He don't went shopping and stuff like that for the baby. And I said, oh, how long you guys staying? Right? And I could honestly admit that me not sticking to my boundaries has cost me a peace of mind. Okay. And so my oldest son goes, oh, well, we staying, he said, his daughter, my grandbaby, oh, well, she's staying up into Sunday. Now, the day that he came to my house, it was Friday. He didn't communicate to me. He didn't send me a message and say, oh, well, could, could she stay? Could my grandbaby say? He didn't send me no message or nothing. So what he did was he said, "Oh, I asked Jada, which is my daughter, my oldest daughter." And I said, "You can't ask her if your daughter could stay up into Sunday. You have to ask me, right?" And so I was like, she can't stay. She can't stay. Now, a part of me felt like, a certain type of way because the ego is going to convince you that, like you wrong or whatever it is like that. But you have to follow your goddamn heart. And so what I said was, I said, you have to you gotta text me and send me a message before you just pop up to the house. Okay. He don't live here. Okay. Um, and I was gonna say about the lease, but there's some. So anywho, so I told him, I said, you gotta send me a message, right? And so I said, she can't stay here this weekend. And he was like, "Oh, but Jada said that she could stay." And I said, "Well, Jada don't even really be here. Jada be in and out, okay?" And if I would have allowed it, right, then it would have gave him the okay, whereas though, well, I could do this any given time I feel like it. I could continuously do this. One of the things that you have to understand is this is your life. You don't owe anyone nothing. Okay? You don't owe anyone nothing. Okay? Now, if you see, I take that back. If you see you have done wrong or whatever it is like that, okay, apologize. Okay? Apologize for your wrongdoings, right? But when it comes to, you feeling like or the person feeling like they are entitled, or they feel like, you are supposed to be at their beck and call whenever they drop a pin. Hey, Robert, peace to you, baby, peace to you. Hey, Paris, peace to you, baby, peace to you. Hey, Ducky, peace to you, baby, peace to you, peace to you. When a person feel like that they are entitled and that you have to be at their beck and call, and you keep on showing up at their beck and call, and you are putting them before you, and you say, well, I want this person to see, how they make me feel, so I'm gonna keep on telling them. If they didn't get it the first time you told them, chances are they're not going to get it. Chances are they are going to continuously treat you the way you have allowed them to treat you. And it's no one fault but yours. You have to start taking accountability, because one of the things you have to understand is this. When you take accountability of what you have allowed in your life, okay, then your life is going to change. But as long as you say, you make me feel this way, or as long as you say, why you keep treating me like this? As opposed to saying, why do I keep treating myself like that? You see how that sound? If you say why they keep treating you like this, okay, oftentimes they'll say, I ain't treating you no way. They're not even receptive to the information that you send. They so unaware. Hey, Mark, the Mark. They so unaware, okay? And so you have to say, you have to protect yourself. You have to say, listen, okay, I have allowed you to treat me this way for whatever, okay, for how long, okay? And draw a line. As of today, you will not treat me this way. And they still gonna treat you that way, okay? But you say, I have boundaries. And if you treat me this way, XYZ is going to take place, okay? And you gotta stick to the boundaries. That's the most important thing, okay? Sticking to the boundaries, because, we could say whatever all day, but if it's no consequence for what the person is doing, then the person is gonna constantly keep on doing it. Okay? Like, for instance, you have someone who is always want you to take them somewhere, right? And when you can't take them to the places that they want to go, they catch a fit. Okay, they catch a whole attitude. They may not want to talk to you. They just in a feelings, right? No, it does not require an explanation. You don't have to explain like, oh, why you don't want to do it. It's just no. Some people are going to put you on a guilt trip if you allow them, because you have to allow it. When you say, I'm not going to do it, right? Stick to it. Don't go back off your word and say, well, you know what? I'm going to do it. That's why I'm paying for some of the shit that I'm paying for. Okay. Because at times I said one thing and then I felt a certain type of way. And I was like, you know what? Nah, let me just continue do the same exact thing and forgetting that, Dina, if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same exact results. Okay. And so if a person gets upset or angry with you because you can't do or be at their every beck and call, then that person should not be a part of your life. Okay. That I don't care who they are. That person should not be a part of your life. If they cannot take no, okay, and they are an adult and they can't take no, even a child, if they can't take no, now your children is different, but if it's an adult and they can't take no because they feel so entitled, then you need to cut that person out of your life. Okay, you need to have some boundaries with them, and whenever they get in their feelings or call you only when they want something, okay, when you get on the phone, you talk to them, and if they like, oh well, I want X, Y, and Z, then don't do it. Then don't do it. Okay? Because it's a one-sided relationship. And if it's a one-sided relationship, it's not going to benefit you. And if it's not benefiting you, do it make sense of having that relationship if it's not benefiting you? So you got to start seeing that you are worthy, you are deserving, and to want somebody to feel the way you feel, okay? Or to want somebody to, acknowledge your feelings. A lot of times people don't acknowledge it because they feel they are unaware. They are unaware. It's not that they doing it intentionally. They just unaware. And so when every time you're like, well, I just want him to acknowledge my feelings in the way I feel. You done told them one time and they still did it after you done complained about it. When do you feel like you should acknowledge your feelings? Not them. Because this is your feelings. And that's some of the things that I had to start understanding. That, Dina, nobody else is going through this but you. And you can complain to this person, to that person, to that person. But guess what? Your life is not finna change until you change. No matter how many people you complaining about, they're not experiencing what you are complaining about. And so, do it really make sense to keep on complaining about it and keep on getting the same results? Or do it make sense for you to set boundaries? And if you have to cut people off, you do what you need to do? You could love a person from afar. Love does not mean that, well, I love you, so I'm a allow you to run amok over my life. That's not love. That is not love. Okay, that I don't know what the hell that is, but that's not love. Okay, if you allowing people to run amok over your life, and you like, well, this is my family member, okay, and I just gotta show them that I love them, but they running amok. You are allowing them to run amok over your life. That's not love. And you don't have to be around someone and keep on allowing yourself to get hurt in the name of your so-called love. That's not love. I remember I was reading a book by Miss Iyanla Vanzant, okay, Trust. And I read that book, it's almost the third time, well, second time. And the book is such a phenomenal read. And I remember one of the things in the book she talked about was, if your mama lied to you, okay, have a habit of always lying to you. She just don't tell the truth. I think that was in the book, right? She just don't tell the truth. And you are saying, why can't she just tell the truth? Why my mother keep lying? You doing yourself a disservice. You really doing yourself a disservice. You doing yourself a disservice because she showed you that she lies. Or if you feel like, my father, he's never on time. He always say, he want to go out to have lunch or whatever it is, but he never shows up. You gotta accept things for what they are. Because if you don't, you are going to be living in fantasy world. And each and every time your feelings are going to get hurt more and more and more. Because you living in fantasy world. You living in an illusion. You want people to be something that they're not. Like if you mess with somebody and they constantly cheat on you, and you keep allowing them to stay in your life, you keep allowing to stay in that relationship. Remember, it's a choice. We all have choice. We all can make choices. And you say, well, why you keep cheating on me? And a person just like, they apologize, but then they keep doing it. It comes a point in time where it's though you say, I'ma choose me, I'ma love me, and I'm not tolerating this. And you do something about it. You leave the relationship. You have to choose you more than that relationship. And to think that, well, if I choose me, me and a person been together for umpteenth years, it does not matter. It does not matter how long you and that person been together. You have to always do what works for you. That's I always say this. Whether I'm talking to you guys or if I'm talking to my sister on a phone, I always say this. You always have to do what works for you. You have to choose you. Because guess what? If you don't choose you, don't expect anyone else to choose you. If you can't even choose you. See, we get from life exactly what we are. Not what we cry about. Not what we plead for. We get exactly what we are. And as long as you are allowing things to just, or people to just treat you any old type of way, it all starts within. See, before somebody could do something to you, you already was doing it to yourself already. They just reflecting back. They just reflecting exactly back to exactly how you feel about yourself. And so if you like, well, I don't want to cut the person off, but the person is treating me, I'm allowing the person to treat me like crap. Then one or two things. Stay and continuously accept how the person is treating you, or cut them off. And when I say cut them off, either put them on block for a few days, a few months, okay? And some people say life is short. You are absolutely correct. Life is short if you allow certain people, okay? If you allow certain people to disrupt your life, disrupt your peace. And you heard what I said. If you allow certain people to disrupt your life, because you have to allow that. No, nobody is doing anything without your okay. And even if you're not saying, well, I ain't said verbally, they could treat me like shit. Yeah, you may have not said it verbally, but your actions are louder than your words. You are showing them it is okay. If you have a child, right, and that child keeps stealing from you, and you just like, why do my child keep stealing? Okay, your child been stealing everywhere, and you keep saying, why do my child keep stealing? Either one, you can blame yourself for saying, well, maybe if I would have been a better mama, or maybe if I would have been a better daddy, they wouldn't steal. Okay. You are not responsible for someone else's actions. People do what they do because that's just what they want to do. You're not responsible for that. Okay? Now, two, you can say, if you steal from here, you can't live here. Okay? Now, some people will say, damn, that's kind of harsh. But they're not, what I say, they're not the one that's going through that. They're not the one whose stuff is being stolen. Okay. You're going through it. And so you have to do what works for you. Okay. Now, if your child steals from your house, what did you say? You said if you steal from here, you cannot live here. And so you have to stick to your word. Because if not, it becomes, well, I could continuously do whatever the hell I want. I can continuously steal. Does that mean that you don't love your child? No, that does not mean that at all. That means that you love your child, okay? But it's boundaries. And you are not going to allow someone to continuously to steal from you. Doesn't mean that you don't love them, okay? Doesn't mean that you don't care about them, but they have chosen to do what you have said for them not to do. And so when they do it, you have to see a thing for a thing. Because if you say, well, they just stole that one time from my house, okay? I know I done told them if they got caught stealing, they was going to have to leave, but they just stole that one time. In life, what reflects back to you is what you have going on in you. Some things are non-negotiable. Some things are absolutely no. If you continuously allow people, if you say, well, these people, they feel entitled. They always want something from me. Well, you have to put your foot down. I'm so grateful that I had got to download to make videos because, see, doing this, you're going to be, I'm not going to say by yourself, but when you start choosing you, okay, you're going to have to walk by yourself at times, okay? You really going to have to walk by yourself. And you got to be okay with it. You have to really be okay with that. And you have to understand that things are working in your favor, even if it appears that they're not. But to allow people to do whatever it is that they want to do to you, and then you complaining about it and saying, well, I just want them to feel the way I feel. I just want them to understand how I feel. They're not going to understand how you feel in some cases because those are your feelings. And if they don't understand and if they can't honor how you feel, the question is, why aren't you honoring it? And you have to do what works for you. So if that includes, sending somebody a card that you love every now and then, okay, then you do that. If that includes doing whatever, it would be times where as though me and my mother, I would have a disagreement, right? And I would go away for a while. But what I always wanted my mother to know was, even if I feel, some type of way about the disagreement or whatever it is, or me living my life a certain type of way or whatever, I always would make sure, like, I try to send my mother something. Like, if I came into extra money or whatever it is, like, I try to send her, whether it's food or whatever, or I send her a card to let her know I'm thinking about her and stuff like that. Because just because by you being around the person, if it causes some tension or whatever it is, or, and if you decide to, go away for a little while, right? That's okay. You do what works for you. You have to always do what works for you. And if somebody is saying, or want you to put them on a pedestal, okay, and when I say pedestal, pretty much it's like they want you to put them first, okay? Like, they want the relationship just to be beneficial to them, okay? And if you continuously do that, then if you complain and say, well, why are they doing this, right, is another question that is being asked back to you. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You got to start saying you deserve better. You deserve more. Okay? And if you are afraid, okay, to set boundaries, right, you are operating from love. And to not set the boundaries, you actually operating from fear. So when you set in the boundaries, you operating from love. And if somebody was to go, right, because they like, you ain't been having boundaries and all this other stuff, right? That's okay. But if they was to leave your life, they would be replaced. And when I say replaced, what I mean is somebody else will enter into your life that could respect your boundaries. You know why? Because you putting it out and you demonstrating that you love yourself, you respect yourself, you are worthy, you have high self-esteem about yourself. And so the next person that comes into your life will be on the same exact frequency as you. Okay? They love themselves, they respect themselves, they have boundaries. Okay? So once you change, your whole world will change. But to feel as though that the outside world should change and you remain the same, it will not happen. It's almost as if you putting clean clothes on and you haven't washed, right? And you like, one second, family. It's almost as if you putting clean clothes on and you haven't washed and you like, who? Hey, Jada. You putting clean clothes on and you haven't washed and you just like, well, I'm just gonna put these clean clothes on, right? That doesn't mean you're not gonna smell funky because you just decided to change your clothes. And so you gotta change your, your hygiene. You gotta wash and then put the clothes on. Okay? And it's the same as that concept. I remember hearing Wayne Dyer say this. One of the things he said was, you do not get a prescription. You do not go to the doctor and get a prescription for your mother-in-law or for the people that is doing the things in your life. When you go to the doctor, you get the prescription for yourself, meaning that you do the work on yourself, okay? And when you do the work on yourself, everything is going to start changing when you do the work on yourself. And so with that being said, I love you guys. Make sure you're rocking out, believing in yourself, and I catch you guys on the next one.